Hey everybody, so I am back with another Inquisitorial Q&A. I don't have a ton of questions this time, and so what I'm going to do is just change the format just slightly for this time, is I'm just going to work a little bit while I'm answering the questions. Typically, I don't think I can answer questions well and and paint at the same time, mainly because I don't multitask well, to be quite honest. But I'm actually just pulling out my stuff. For those of you that watch the channel regularly, you know that I broke a bunch of my SAGA minis on the floor, and so I'm just pulling them out and just doing some assessment of the damage. It's been several weeks since that happened. I've not really wanted to touch them. So I'm just going to pull that stuff out while I answer these questions. And yeah, thanks to everybody that submitted them. I find this to be a lot of fun. I sometimes question whether I should continue with this, not because it's actually been very cool and fun, but just I know there are a ton of Q&As all over the place, and I don't know if people are getting a little bit, I guess, not fed up, but just feeling it's a little much. You know, I actually like the Q&As, and the reason I actually like them is I like to paint along and listen to people doing their Q&As, because it's almost like having a little chat session with your friend when you're not with your friends, like when you're at home and you're painting and stuff, and I just find it fun. It's like good background stuff to listen to. So I'll continue for now. I'm still finding it fun, but I don't know if you guys ever feel like it's kind of getting much, like there's less painting videos and more people spending time just like answering questions, you know, and stuff like that. So the first question is from Tristan Athleth, and he says, thunderstorms or heavy snowing is his question, so I'm assuming it's which one do you like more. Honestly, there's no shortage of heavy snowing where I live now, or in places I've lived in the past. I've mentioned on the channel that I've lived in Buffalo, and as much as I like the winter and the snow, I'm going to say thunderstorms, because I really like a nice thunderstorm. I like the smell of the rain, and you know, it's very refreshing, a thunderstorm, and so I'm going to go with thunderstorm, and that will be the answer. Next question is by Ralph Astley, and he says, I really like the previous scene. I noticed you may have recently changed the front page of your channel. I really like the previous scene, as it reminded me of the TV series Firefly. Some of you may remember I had like a dark city sort of look on my channel page when you went to it. My question was going to be, what does it depict? And what is the story behind your choice of avatar? But I'll also now ask, why did you decide to change? Honestly, when I first started my channel, there were a couple of questions here. I'll just start with that scene. When I first started my channel, both my avatar and that picture that you're referring to were things that I just found on Google when I was looking at stuff and looking at artwork and things like that. And I don't have the rights to any of them. They're not mine. You know, my channel, although my channel is not a paid channel in any way, to some degree, you still need to actually, to some degree, have permissions, you know, when you display things. I don't think people care as much when it's sort of like a small channel that doesn't make any money or anything like that, but at the same time, you know, it is somebody's work. And so, as I've become more involved with YouTube and over the years, and realized that, you know, it's important, you know, to highlight artists, or at least get permissions and things like that, I've become a little bit more wary about having things closely associated with my channel as the subscriber count goes up, that I don't have permission to use. You might say, well, it's a little bit after the thought. I should have known that in the beginning. That's true. I should have. I just didn't really know a lot about it. And so one of the big reasons why I changed is that I thought the avatar that I have, and so to answer your question, Ralph, it's just like a dark futuristic city. It's a digital piece of artwork, but I don't really know the story behind it, for that image that you liked. As well, the steampunk robot with Victorian-style robot that I have as my avatar is pretty much a similar story in that it's a digital piece of artwork that I didn't own that I liked. And in some ways, it represented to me I like steampunk because it just sort of represented to me that marriage of the mechanical and the old, Victorian style, and I just kind of liked that. I really liked the image, and so what I ended up doing, the reason why the avatar is still there and the image is not, is that I said, I'm going to try to get permission to use this piece of artwork for the avatar. And it was really difficult because when I went to search for that image again on Google, I couldn't find it anywhere because it'd been years. I mean, I think I started the channel in 2012, so it's been a few years since I even found it then. It took me a long time, but I did end up finding somewhere on the internet where that image still existed, aside from the use of my channel, and I did hunt down the actual original artist. Now, one of the complicating factors, and I thought it was a bit of a death sentence in my being able to use it, was that artist has actually become quite popular within the video gaming industry, and successful, I should say. It's a very successful artist in the video game industry, as it is a piece of digital artwork. And I did contact that artist, and I'll show the image. Just you guys are, I'm sure, familiar with it because you see my channel, but this is the image. I'll just put it right there. I did write the artist and tell them the story. I basically said, that I didn't know what I was doing. When I first did this, I really liked it. That's why I chose it. That I'd really like to talk about being able to use it for my channel in the way that I am now. And he graciously wrote me back and, was really, really nice about it and said that I do have permission to use it for the reasons I've been using it, and associated with my channel. And so now I can officially use that as my logo, and I don't have to worry about getting permission and really like using somebody's artwork without their permission. And I encourage everybody, that maybe have done something similar to I did, in that case, also try to do something similar, and just if you are using somebody's work, particularly if you're actually plan on making money off of it or something. But even in my case where it's just my channel, if you're using their artwork, I do encourage you to get permission where it makes sense to, and where, and usually I think it does. Ralph, that is it. Now, initially I did actually for my page just experiment with some different pictures. I think I had some Eldar jet bikes up there at one point. The one that I really wanted was that French-Indian War photo that I took of my miniatures, and so I have that as my background. I realize it's not as artistic as a piece of artwork like I had before, but it is sort of a gaming channel, and I do like that image, so I think that just showing something with the miniatures on a miniature gaming channel probably makes sense. And so yeah, so that's where we're at with that. So thanks for the question, and it's actually kind of cool because I did want to bring that up at one point, that process I went through and getting permission to use that for Heresy Productions or just Palmer. It's kind of cool. So Idic Beer, do you have any projects on the shelf that you've been avoiding because you're a bit worried about painting it? The first one that I ever did like that was the Eldar Avatar, because it was also my first Forge World item. I had never painted anything from Forge World, and I was kind of scared. I didn't want to break it, I didn't want to mess it up, I just, and I was quite happy with the way that came out, but I definitely felt a little gun-shy on the Forge World one. I think another good answer would be the Iron Man mini that I'm doing right now. For those of you that have seen my video where I'm going to spill my minis again, because this time at least a fallen carpet. For for those of you that have seen my video recently where I show my latest Avengers update, I kind of hem and haw and talk a little bit about how scared I am, or how much I want it to actually come out well, because he's like an important character for my youth in Marvel Comics. And so yeah, I would say that I am a little worried about painting Iron Man. And I think, we test ourselves with our minis and things, and sometimes when something's important, maybe a mini that you're really worried about isn't one, like the approach I'm taking with the Iron Man is that I'm not really doing too much. I am using some new paints, which I will test some things prior, but I'm not doing anything too much that's skill building, like versus using techniques that I've practiced and I won't say mastered, but have honed, that's kind of the approach that I take. Like when I do think it's good to test yourself on minis, because even if they don't come out great the first time or as good as you would have liked it, they're skill building, and you're basically getting off the plateau of your current technique and then trying to go up to another level, and then to another plateau. I think that it's good to do that at times, and even the Green Goblin glider, where I did the non-metallic metal painting on the glider, I really am happy with that. I'm actually quite proud of that little work I did, but I don't consider it to be the best example of non-metallic metal, and in some ways, like I think my blends are pretty decent, but I don't think I've hit the contrast as well as it can be. But it looks good to me, and it improved my painting of non-metallic metal, and now I have to do another one and just continue to do that to try to improve those skills. So, yeah, like I do actually have those minis where I get kind of worried about how I'm going to do this, and I think oftentimes it's just the ones that either look really, really good, like like the sculptor has done something above and beyond, and to you it just really looks amazing, and so you don't want to actually ruin what somebody else has done, like with their sculpting, is the feeling. As well, it may just be that character is really important to you, and by you making them not look as well as you envision in your head, you're almost kind of betraying your liking of the character. You're making them something less than you feel they should be, like in your imagination, or maybe in the way that somebody else has painted. And so, yeah, I can see that. I definitely go through that too. I don't know I think you may have mentioned, Nick, that you've experienced that at times. I don't want to put words in your mouth. All right, so next question. Angelic Knight. Angelic Knight is a buddy of mine from my Space Marine days on the PS3, when I was in a chapter playing as a Space Marine against other chapters and stuff. I've known Angelic for a while now, prior to even getting back into wargaming. So cheers, Angelic, for actually writing in. I appreciate that. So he says, P, Grandmaster P, my nickname, will you ever do a Tau? Well, I think the short answer, like, would I paint a Tau? Sure. Like, I would do one. I would paint just about most things. But what is the likelihood that I would do an army or, like, a significant project? Right now, it's kind of low, and I think probably it's because Tau's never really been my army. I mean, I already kind of do the Xenos thing with Eldar, and I've always been Eldar is always, they're like my core army for 40k is Eldar. The lore and everything has got me into Space Marines, and I like doing like the Loyalist stuff. I'm really interested in Mechanicum, but Eldar are really kind of what I like the most, probably. And so Tau's really never been something I've looked into. Now, having said that, in the regular Tau stuff, and I'm not that knowledgeable on Tau, but in the regular Tau stuff that I've seen, I find that the leader models I really like. The suits and stuff and the Tau vehicles are not my thing so much, but I like the suits they add another element when you put the alien head on it. Like when I see like the leaders where the alien heads are showing, I really quite like that. And so I could see myself doing a character model just for fun. Alternatively, I'll let you know when I would consider doing Tau, like actually using it and fielding it as an army. And it's, I really like Kroot. I've always liked the Kroot models. I love these sort of somewhat savage aliens that are, you know, in the Tau civilization, that have, the Tau have brought them into the fold, and but they're savage sort of cousins. And I see the Kroot like Zulus or something. Like I could see like mass amounts of Kroot, like, you know, as this, you know, force. And to me, like the imagery of that is really cool, and I love the models of the Kroot. I've heard that there are rumors, and I've seen rumors mentioned where we might be seeing a Kroot faction somewhat returning, because I don't know all the names, but the Kroot have different beasts that also they utilize, and some of them are these large ones that I guess Forge World had at one point. They don't anymore. I know you can get Chinese knockoffs of them, because I did look them up recently. And so I think if that was to come to pass, that I would actually consider fielding some Kroot. If I could run like a Kroot force. And I wouldn't mind even having like a Tau leader model and some Tau, but if I could primarily have a Kroot force. The other thing is, I looked into it, but right now Kroot don't seem to be really worth it as far as taking them, like from a game perspective, and like from a modeling perspective I'd get them anyway, but I do dislike it when, like, I don't buy armies, despite playing Eldar. I bought Eldar towards the end of 5th edition, so they were still, like, their psychic powers were good, but they weren't nearly as powerful as they were until when the 6th edition Codex came out. I don't buy stuff just to be competitive in 40k. As a matter of fact, it's not really the biggest concern in choosing something, but at the same time, like, I don't like to buy something really specialized, like a specialized Kroot army, if they're not really fieldable. Like, I'm not going to have fun at all, because it's just like, go there, get your butt kicked, and rinse and repeat. That's not really what I'm looking for either. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I would do that. I like my Kroot. I call him my Kroot, but I like me Kroot. I think that I could really get into that. But as far as like going for like your standard Pathfinders and your stealth suits and your various, I'm not sure what they're called, but like your, not dreadnoughts, but your power suits, like your various, you know, like in the Eldar we have our, all of our Wraith Lords and Knights and Guard, they have their own sort of various suits. I'm not really interested in that. I've already kind of got that through other things, so I wouldn't likely be painting that stuff up. So, good question, Angelic. All right, Richard from Tattoo for You. It's funny because when I first started these videos, all I can think about when I see TAT for you is how I used to just stumble over it so badly. I'd be like, okay, TAT for you. Now that I talk to Richard quite a bit, comments and stuff-wise, it's completely natural. Have you ever gone to Adepticon or any other wargame con? I have never been to any wargame con or any big, reasonably big event or show. Now, it's funny that you bring that up, because Richard, because I have been given permission to go to something from my wife, because, you know, for those of you guys that are married, you know, like, it's always a negotiation how we spend our time and we do our things, you know, vacation time and things like that. And I've never been to one, and I have been given permission to pursue that. And specifically, I was thinking Salute, but I'm really undecided. The reason it was going to be Salute for me was just because I see it come out every year, and a lot of folks that I follow their channels go to it, and it seems like there's a lot of good trade aspect to it, of traders going to it and stuff, manufacturers. And so I really thought I'd like to do this. I also would like to see London. I've never been to London. And a lot of people that I talk to on the channel are from the UK. And so the interesting piece for me is that not sure if it's the right decision, because not so much because of the show or anything like that, but it's the first thing that came to mind to me was that it's one day, and so I'm like flying overseas for one day, whereas some of the other ones like Adepticon that you mentioned are multiple days. I really don't know a lot about these shows, but from what I understand, I think Adepticon might be quite a bit bigger, much bigger event. Now, part of the reason why I wanted to do this is I wanted to sort of meet some of my subscribers and the folks that I follow their channels. And I was kind of even thinking it'd be kind of cool to maybe meet for a drink the night before or breakfast the following day or something like that with different folks, depending on whether they go to a pub or not. A little bit, do something for everyone kind of thing, and just be able to hang out. Reality is that the majority of the people that watch my channel are from the US, but the vast, and although there are actual folks like you, Richard, that I talk to from the US regularly, and Canada, the vast majority of people that I talk to, like back and forth, rapport with, are from Europe and the UK. For whatever reason, it's just, there's a vastly larger proportion of people that are my subscribers from the UK comment in relation to the number of subscribers versus like a much larger group from the US but like less of them comment, considering how many of them watch and subscribe. And so I haven't developed as many friendships, through the channel with folks from the US as compared to the UK, which, that may change, because I didn't design it that way. That's just the way it sort of worked out. And so part of it is I wanted to sort of make that connection with the channel, go there, meet some folks. I wanted to see the show, but then also, go to the event and then also, meet with folks. I don't have an interest in going to any of these things to play, like in a tournament, and so that would not be my reason for going. Like, my main reason for going would be to see new products and like meet with manufacturers, with artists and designers, perhaps attend talks, which I know they do at the Adepticon. I'm not sure if they do I don't think they do with Salute, I'm not sure. And then meet with folks that I know. Like, that would be my reasons. And so I'm a little up in the air because I kind of thought, like, if I was to go to if I had to pick right now which one to go to, I'd probably go to Salute, but I'd do it as a trip to see Salute, to see the folks that I'd chat with and meet folks and things, and then likely I'd be going to like a historical museum in London and seeing a bit of London, and make up for the less of the show by actually seeing the city, and going over there, and that would be a lot of fun, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. I will have videos in the future about this. I want to get people's opinions on it, so I'm probably going to put a video out specific around that in the future. But then again, I don't know a whole lot about Adepticon and a lot of the other big shows, so I also feel that perhaps I'm making the wrong decision, with my resources and my time spent. So, yeah, we'll see. Well, that is the last question. I encourage folks I appreciate everybody. I've had a lot of folks that regularly watch and, sometimes ask questions and sometimes they don't. By all means, if you enjoy this and you like to paint towards this stuff like I do, I watch a lot of these, and I've mentioned Pete, Mini Wargame, and Nick in the past, but Mammoth Painting does one, and Richard, who I just mentioned, Tattoo for You, does one. Some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly. Like, I'm staying with the monthly for now, but I like a lot of these that folks do. So I find it fun from a social perspective. It's kind of like social while not being social, like through the computer. but it still kind of adds a bit of a fun social element. I still have a guy here that has no head, that broke off and is just completely missing. I didn't get him fixed. I've just started to get guys glued back on and things together. That makes me feel good, taking that first step, touching these things again. I hate rework. I personally don't like stripping and repainting things that I've done. I don't mind doing it if I've never painted before and it's something somebody else has done, but I don't like doing things twice for the most part, unless it's just like, I don't mind painting like units that are kind of similar. That's not twice to me, but if I had to like repaint that whole unit again, I just don't like that. It's just not as exciting to me. And the fact that I dropped this on the floor and it was my stupid mistake has made me like really avoid doing this. So thank you for sharing this time for me to do this, and for asking questions and for watching the Q&A. Talk to you later, guys. See ya.